Let's start unpacking the things that occurred, and we'll start with the end and work our way backward. You saw the final play. This is what replay review was put in place to rectify, and it really was close. And I think about the standard as it was as explained by folks like should-be Hall of Fame coach Mike Holmgren. 50 drunks in a bar need to unanimously agree that the ruling on the field was incorrect. And this is one where, damn, it's close, and you have to get the right angle. But when you get the right angle, it is. For some of these angles, in my opinion, it isn't. There's one angle in particular where it is. And there it is. Yeah. There it is. There's the one. That one's even better. That's the one, because you can't tell for sure that the toe's down. If that whole foot gets in and the toe's never completely down, and they have a weird rule about that they finally codified, but regardless, that last one is the one that makes it clear and obvious. But for some of those, it's like, is it really clear and obvious? Is it really clear and obvious? I'm not sure. Then it's like, boom, there's the one. And that's one of the realities of playing a primetime, big platform, lots of cameras game. You get one of these 5-6 levels deep Fox CBS 1 o'clock Eastern game on a Sunday, you don't have enough cameras to turn that over. You're not going to get that last angle that provides the definitive look that comes up just in time to make it 100% clear that the ruling does need to be overturned. So this is one of the examples of technology in abundance for a big game, eventually providing a definitive look.
There's no question, Mike, and I know Lamar said that he still thinks it's a touchdown, but it was clear and obvious that it wasn't a touchdown. And you're right. This is exactly what replay was intended for, to overturn these calls. And there's no way you get that right on the field. It's luck if you get that right on the field. You can't see that. It was that close. But replay fixed it, and it fixed it correctly at the Chiefs won the game. I was just hoping beyond hope that it was a touchdown, because it was obvious that John Harbaugh was indicating they were going for two, and I wanted to see that. That to me would have been a better ending, to see how that finished with a 2-point conversion rather than overturned by replay. But it was the correct call, and they got it right. And regardless of what Lamar says, that's how the game ended, and that's how the game should have ended.
Gutsy call to go for two under those circumstances. But I think that's how it should have been. On the road, come from behind, steal it and get the hell out of there. Don't put it into overtime and give the home crowd a chance to boost the Chiefs on the night when they celebrated their most recent championship and, unlike last year, pulled off the victory. Let's hear from some of the folks involved directly in last night's game on that fateful final play.
You said it, James. I thought it was a touchdown. I thought it was a touchdown, but I still think it's a touchdown.
That's on me, man. I gotta get both feet in. I harp on myself to, catch everything, make sure everybody put us in the best possibility. So I'll take, responsibility next time I get my feet down.
What a wild environment down there. It was two heavyweights in a fight right down to the end. And when they say it's a game of inches, it might be shorter than that.
No, definitely nerve-wracking. because it looked good from my angle on the sideline. But then the first view you could see the cleat. So that's a great football team, and I'm sure we'll see them again at some point in the playoffs. So now we're happy with the win now, and he's got to wear white cleats next time. That's my advice for him.
Patrick Mahomes says that with a smile on his face and tongue planted in cheek, but that really is an interesting hypothetical. White cleats on that white line, would it have been clear and obvious? Would the 50 drunks in a bar have all said when they saw the definitive look, that toe is out? I don't know. And it really is a lesson. And we were talking about this last night on the plane back, because we were able to see bits and pieces of the game. We were able to follow the game once we got to 10,000 feet. But you should wear white cleats if you're a pass catcher, for that very possibility that your toe is going to be close enough that the foot's going to be in, and you're not going to be able to blur the line on replay, or you do blur the line on replay as to whether the foot was out. Just like wearing white gloves when you're playing a team that's got a white jersey. Some players will resist that. Why wouldn't you wear white gloves when the team you're playing has a white jersey? It's harder to see if you're holding the jersey, if your hands blend in with the jersey. Those are minor strategic points that can make a difference. And if that had been an all-white shoe, maybe it wouldn't have been clear and obvious, Charean, in a situation that close. But you plan for everything, and whatever happens, happens. And that's one discrete, finite, clear example that if the shoe was white all the way through to the tip, maybe it wouldn't have been clear and obvious to overturn the ruling on the field.
And it's going to be interesting, Mike, in the Ravens' next game if Isaiah Likely comes out in white shoes, because I do think it might have made a difference. It would have been harder to see whether that toe truly was in or out. I mean, it was clear with the black shoe that it was out of bounds. But if you have that white shoe, then I think there's maybe a little more. Is that the shoe or is that the line? So, yeah, sometimes it comes down to that. This game is a game of inches. There's no question about that. And this was a game of inches. But, you know, Lamar had two other chances to make plays there, and he didn't make those plays. What I didn't like, Mike, in that whole sequence there, the 38-yard pass to Bateman to the 10, they snapped the ball with 43 seconds left, and they had an opportunity to spike it. Their next snap was at 18 seconds. To me, the time was more important than the play, because you were probably only going to get 3 plays, which is what they got. Either way, you were only going to get 3 plays. I think they would have been in a better position if they had taken their time, spike the ball, and then take your time, go to the huddle. You get 3 good plays out of that, which they did get 3 plays, and it ended up being 3 pretty good plays because you had open receivers. But the first one obviously was a little bit rushed, and he just missed Likely on first down. He just missed him back there in the corner of the end zone.
Well, he missed Likely in the back corner of the end zone, and Likely jumped up, came down in a very awkward manner on his arm that made it look like there was a serious injury that he would not be playing again with last night, and he was ultimately back for the final play. And in between, he missed Zay Flowers wide open. Zay Flowers was wide open, and it was one of those, this is the value. And I'm tapping the brakes before I say this, but I'm going to say it. This is the value of being there for the entire offseason program. This is the value of developing an almost telepathic connection to your receivers. Because if you watch the play, and I don't know if we have it, it was the second down play before the final play of the game. Zay Flowers is cutting across the end zone, and Lamar Jackson is buying time, and Zay Flowers kept going, and Lamar Jackson threw it behind him. And when it happens, it's so quick. It's almost like Zay Flowers, did he have a chance to get that? But his momentum was taking him one way. Yeah. The ball was behind him. The more you work with someone, the more you pick up those little nuances of how people move in those situations. It all comes back to you in theory in that moment where you're trying to find calm amidst chaos. And you're never going to have a bright line. It's what I said about Aaron Rodgers skipping out on mandatory minicamp. You're never going to have a bright line that will take you back to, you know what, if you'd have just been there for those 2 practices, something would have happened during those 2 practices. It's kind of like wearing the white shoe. Like with the white shoe, hey, okay, well, there's an instance where you could have used it. This is far more nebulous and far more vague. And I say it because Lamar Jackson skipped most of the offseason program. So you're never going to be able to prove it, but it's why you should be there for everything, because you pick up those little things about what your receiver does in a situation like that. Because maybe something like that happened on the second day of OTAs when you weren't there. And, you know, we would have been in a different situation. There wouldn't have been a need for a review. The Ravens would have gone for 2, and we'd be talking for the last 13 minutes about whether or not it was a good play, whether it was executed well, whether they got the 2-point conversion, or whether they didn't.
Isn't it amazing how a toe changes everything? It really changes what we're talking about, because we could be sitting here talking about, wow, how'd the Ravens pull that out? There's no way they should have pulled that out. The Chiefs should have won that by a mile. They shouldn't have even come down to the end. And instead, we're talking about how close it is and how he didn't connect with the receivers. It really changes the whole storyline of everything because of a toe being out, not getting to go for the 2-pointer. And I think even if they had scored there, I think the storyline probably is a little bit different. If they lose it on a 2-point conversion, I think we're talking about different things today than what we're talking about now. But that's what this game is, Mike. You break it down and it comes down to one play, and they didn't make the one play, and they had 2 other opportunities to make the one play to get an opportunity to go for 2, and they didn't get it done. So here we are talking about, hey, Chiefs are going to be hard to stop again, and how are the Ravens going to fix this? So when if they play the Chiefs again, they're able to pull out a win.
Well, and if they play the Chiefs again, it's far more likely now that the game will happen at Arrowhead Stadium, because if the two teams have the same record, they both win the division, the Chiefs will be higher on the playoff tree, period. Now, the Chiefs have the Bengals coming up in 9 days, so this was the kind of start to the season that really should have and apparently did get their attention. You can't play with your food early in the season. You lose to the Ravens, you lose to the Bengals. Getting the 1 seed becomes a lot harder because they own the tiebreaker. But for now, Chiefs are in a great position. If they would beat the Bengals in 9 days, they'll be in even better position to lock up the 1 seed and not have to do it the hard way like they did last year, going to Buffalo, going to Baltimore, although we saw last year that if they have to do it the hard way, they will. Hi, it's Mike Florio. Thanks for watching PFT on YouTube. Hit subscribe for the latest news and analysis from Pro Football Talk.